So Latasha is very funny. If I don't see her in the day, or we haven't really finished catching up, like something happens to Latasha at like 8 o'clock in the evening where she like gets a second wind, and she's all of a sudden like organizing everything and like sending me text messages or like sending me. Sometimes she'll be like scrolling on her phone, and she'll be checking everything out. And she's like, "Why aren't we doing this? Or what's this? Or what's this? Explain this to me." So she's now spending a lot more time on site. So like on Monday, next Monday, we're starting a kitchen renovation, and it's literally just a kitchen and a dining room. And so she's gonna run that. And so what I've realized is like she's really good at running the short-term things. And that's why making this ad campaign for roofing and for siding and for driveways would be a good thing for us. The short-term money is also like, it's just very helpful. It's very, very helpful for like cash flow. So that's kind of where we are. Park Road, where are we? House with a tree, 2-story addition, the really big kitchen. It's still a shell, but it has windows now, and it has drywall. Definitely a big difference. It just feels a lot more, it feels different. And then the guys, we started getting ready for doors, and the guys will be bringing in all the lumber today to get ready for building the cabinetry on site. So we're using Luciano, who does like all our Tadillac work. He does a lot of our finish work for us. So he brought a crew in for us, and he's doing it. So there was an error made where the wrong color window. So the windows were ordered, and the exterior color was correct, the interior color was incorrect. And so we messed up. It was a mistake. And so two things happened here. One was that it taught me that we needed to come up with a new process for ordering windows, which is like very tight. And so we've come up with, we create our own window schedule, and then obviously the architect should always sign off on it. And that didn't happen. And also, the window schedule didn't cover all the windows, which was the second part of the issue. And that's why in the future we will always make our own window schedule, because sometimes windows get added on and there's a miscommunication. So one, check your processes and fix them. In terms of dealing with the client, we presented essentially one of 3 options. One was we order new windows, like just, suck it up and do it. What makes it more challenging is that the windows in the bathrooms don't have window trim, so we couldn't quite finish them. We wouldn't be able to fully finish everything, and because the bathrooms also have plaster, it was an add-on to the timeline significantly. The other option was we were going to get a car detailer refinishes cars. And so the painting process is actually very similar to painting vinyl windows. And so we have a guy out in Virginia. When we want a custom color on windows or doors, we use him to paint the windows and doors. So we were going to have him repaint the interior of the windows. And so that was the second option. And the third option was just to highly discount the windows for the client. They are going for the third option, because white on white windows is not terrible. So that made the project incredibly stressful. You never make the same mistake twice, but also when mistakes happen, which they do, can you learn from them? And by God, I was not going to have another life on my hands. So I've become very involved in this project. So having John is still great. It's really nice to really still have this partner. That role is very much filled, and it gives me time to work on other areas. Not everybody loves him the way I love him, and I think I've struggled with that a little bit. The thing that I've really come to realize is when people hire me or hire Cann, they're hiring Cann because it's a women-owned business, and John is not a woman. And so how much does my role, how much of a role do I need to have in these projects? And so trying to ascertain that has been a little bit of a challenge. How involved do I really need to be when I have John? So the reason I've been more involved in Park Road, John can't be everywhere at once. There's also just a lot of what John is very good at is high-level communication to the clients, and how do we frame things? And those emails take some time to craft. And so John is generally on site running around all day long, and then trying to get him to sit down to write those emails takes a little bit of time. And so he can't really be running 3 projects. So that's why I am taking over I'm high level managing park. Not ideal, but kind of where we are, and just, we got to get it done. I mean, look, my reputation is everything. First and foremost, I want to achieve my clients' dreams, but I also need to protect ourselves. And I think for a long time, soup to nuts, do I know everything? Absolutely not. But high level, I know a lot now. I think it's really funny. In university, I took this course called structures, and I was terrible at structures. I hated structures. I didn't really understand it, and it really but I always freaked myself out about structures. And it's kind of the same thing with construction. I think I've always been quite nervous to demonstrate what I know, because I'm like, well, I don't know as much as my guys. But that's the reality. I just don't know as much about my guys. But actually, I've been doing this for 5 years now. I know there's actually quite a bit I do know, and I'm, the base knowledge is very much there now. But also, more importantly, and why people actually choose to work with me is my ability to troubleshoot something is very strong. The knowledge is there. So pull out, what I'm really good at is understanding how people feel emotionally, and also how to pull out certain answers or questions, even if I don't fully know the topic. I mean, that's kind of in part why people choose to work with me. And so how do I keep that essence of me around on a project without me having to run the project? But right now, I am overseeing park because it's too important. All my projects are important, but I will not let, park has to get done by a certain timeline, and we need to kind of just move on with our lives. So how do I make sure that it's running smoothly? So yeah, so we started park in July, and then there was a setback because of the tree. So we really didn't get started again until September. And then we started, and there was a setback with DOEE, and we didn't start fully until, I think, October. We're going to be finishing in May, which is still pretty good. And there's pressure to get done because they're having a baby. Having to balance our construction needs versus the clients is always a little stressful sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be super, between now and, first week of May, what are we now? We're third week of February. Yeah, I mean, it's a marathon. And it's really there's a lot to get done, but we can do it. And we've come up with, we've created this new template for coming up with our sequencing for the week, the priorities, and then breaking it down into daily tasks. And so I'm just trailing in behind, checking everything. So I just did last month's schedule on Thursday. Okay. So we shall see. Because in construction everything takes longer and costs more, right? Mm-hmm. So it incentivizes you to finish within a realistic time frame. But also we've got lots of conditions that would add more onto it. So weather delays are a big part. It took us it took us essentially 2 months to get out of the ground. We've had just a really, until 2 weeks ago, we hadn't had 4 straight days of no rain since before Thanksgiving. So liquidated damages is a much bigger thing you see in commercial, because it's, you're dealing with an enterprise which wants to open by a certain date. It's not as common of a practice in residential, because your clients kind of have to know to ask for that. I mean, I would never offer that to a client. That's not hey, let me pay you if I'm late. You'd probably see it on a much bigger build, a really, large home. If, again, my clients technically, according to my architect, the clients build in India. So, it's somebody who's familiar with the construction world. Okay, what's going on here? And if I see a construction project that I generally stop and I talk to the people who are working on site to know if they have any good subs that I could use. Yeah. So I got back from CNext a little more than a week ago. So that's where we're going to have the welcome dinner tonight. I'm really just looking forward to meeting new people. Okay, I'm ready. And now that I've had some time to kind of process everything, it's reminded me of the importance of my relationship with my clients and kind of what role I take, but also how I can be more influential, but also how I need to also as a business owner maintain a certain position. Clients come and go. architects and interior designers are forever. It kind of reminded me that I hold this really interesting position, what I do, because I'm not just a builder, right? We give lots of advice on design and aesthetics and like cabinetry, and for smaller projects we help clients to come up with a design. So I sit in this kind of this niche little pocket. The trip was great, except for one day I got a very upset email from a client, and it kind of blew up my day. And I realized that I need to work harder on not having my clients emotionally disrupt my world. My clients have a lot of power over me, and I need to learn how to manage that so that they don't just blow up my day, because that's what happened on my Tuesday. Yes, boundaries. But there were some really interesting interior designers who I hope to stay connected with. Also a few architects and some products. So we shall see.